Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is Ash Quest, and today, it's time to tackle The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, a fighting fantasy gamebook in which you are the hero, by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone. This is the very first volume of fighting fantasy, and this is the iBooks version of the book, so pretty contemporary. These books, fighting fantasy, are a long-running series. The first edition of The Warlock of Firetop Mountain came out in 1982, 2 years before the first Lone Wolf book. They play very similarly to Lone Wolf in that you have a character that's going through an adventure in this book in a solo fashion, and you are making choices as you read the story that may result in success or death. Unlike Lone Wolf, there is usually only one correct way to get through a given book, and sometimes you have to have specific items to complete the book. The games are played with dice and pencil with eraser, they specify, because we are going to be writing down stats and, I presume, taking notes along our journey. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and many fighting fantasy titles, is a notoriously difficult adventure, so we will probably die many times, and we may actually have to start over, resulting in possibly more videos on this than the Lone Wolf Flight from the Dark adventure series. But what we'll do is we'll read the back, we'll read the intro, we'll get to the instructions, we'll see if we can't create our character and get familiarized with the rules, and then we'll go from there. It is worth noting that there have been many print runs of fighting fantasy. The original print run from Puffin, the first publisher, ran for over 50 books and over a period of years. The second time they were published, it was still by Puffin, but they gave them different covers and they tried to reignite interest by re-releasing books. And we end up with a lot of different versions of the same books, lots of different covers, even from the same publishers. There is one print run that I think covers every single fighting fantasy book from Puffin. Volumes, I think 1 through 52 maybe. Don't quote me on that, I might be off by a few. And they have a gold banner across the top. And if you are looking for a cohesive collection, I think this is the only way to get it. But that can be a very expensive thing to find secondhand, and it can be very expensive to find and try to buy the individual books to create that collection. This was picked up and printed by Wizard, and Wizard, although they generally stuck to the same books, they didn't get to the end of the print run. They didn't get to the end, rather, of printing all of the books in the series, which is fine because these are standalone adventures generally. You're not going to carry over any information from one to the other like you would Lone Wolf, and you're not going to carry your adventure across multiple books and come back like you would in Fabled Lands. These are one and done adventures. Your character that you create in the Warlock of Firetop Mountain does not carry over at all into Death Trap Dungeon. You will create a new character in that book. But they do leave titles out entirely, which is a bit bizarre, and sometimes even add new titles in that weren't in the original run, in favor of including the older titles in their completion. So that's a bit strange to me, not something that I like. Scholastic Books picked up the run, and they have also republished many of the titles. I think they're doing a slightly better job at keeping some of the titles, but I'm not sure about some of the details like artwork and edits or errata or censorship or anything like that. So we do see that these books are accessible. I don't know how close to their original form they are, but we are going to be using the iBooks version because I don't have a Puffin version of the Warlock of Firetop Mountain today. Special limited edition, huh? The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Deep in the caverns beneath Firetop Mountain lies an untold wealth of treasure guarded by a powerful warlock. Or so the rumor goes. Several adventurers like yourself have set off for Firetop Mountain in search of the warlock's hoard. None has ever returned. Do you dare follow them? Your quest is to find the warlock's treasure hidden deep within a dungeon populated with a multitude of terrifying monsters. You will need courage, determination, and a fair amount of luck if you are to survive all the traps and battles and reach your goal, the innermost chambers of the warlock's domain. By the way, this was a US and Canadian publication, $6.99 US, $10.50 Canadian. A look at the ISBN and barcode if you need that. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain is a different kind of book. As well as the book itself, you will need 2 dice, a pencil, and an eraser. Then, armed with these tools, you can become the hero in a perilous quest to find the Warlock's hidden treasure. The treasure is hidden deep within a dungeon which you must explore, populated with a multitude of underworld monsters which you must fight and kill, or be killed in the attempt. Part novel with its exciting story, and part game with its elaborate combat system, this book holds many adventures in store for you. Each page presents different challenges, and the choices you make will send you on different paths and into different battles. You may get lost in the maze, have your strength sapped by a hideous wight, die in a battle with orcs, or fall to any of the dozens of creatures guarding the Warlock's treasure vaults. Or with courage, determination, and a fair amount of luck, you may survive through all the traps and battles to the innermost chambers of the Warlock's domain where the treasure is hidden. Magic and monsters are as real as life in this sword and sorcery treasure hunt, which will keep you spellbound for hours on end. This was illustrated by Russ Nicholson. Other notable illustrators include Les Edwards for other titles. How to Fight Creatures of the Underworld. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain is a fantasy adventure in which you are the hero, but before you start, you must first create your character by rolling dice to determine your skill, stamina, and luck scores. Enter these on the adventure sheet on pages 18 through 19. These scores will change during the adventure. Write on the adventure sheet in pencil so you can erase previous scores when you start again, or make photocopies of the blank adventure sheet. So to start, let's take a look at the adventure sheet, and this one's pretty fresh, being that this is a new publication. You're not going to find very many of these fresh adventure sheets if you are collecting the older editions. We have skill, and we have initial values for skill, stamina, and luck. We have items of equipment carried. That's an interesting way to word that. Gold, jewels, potions, and provisions remaining. We also have monster encounter boxes that allow us to, or to help us rather, keep track of our fights. Well, you know from my adventures with Lone Wolf, I'll just be using this separate pad. So, we'll have skill, stamina, and luck. And I'll go ahead and fill out the rest of this character sheet and go ahead and fast forward you so you don't have to sit through me doing it. It's interesting to me that they give you exactly 12 of these monster encounter boxes, almost as if there's a maximum of 12 battles. We'll find out if that is the case, but let's go back to the beginning and figure out how to populate our fields here. To determine your initial skill, stamina, and luck scores, roll 1 die. Add 6 to this number and enter this total in the skill box on the adventure sheet. Here we go. It's time for me to roll cursedly low numbers. There we go. A skill of 7. That's what I'm talking about, our initial skill. So terribly low, 7 out of 12. Roll both dice. Add 12 to the number rolled and enter this total in the stamina box. Yes. Another super low number, below the average of 7. This is a 6, and we're going to add 12 to that, which gives us a number of 18. Suppose I'll need this to be here instead of where I have it, which I think is how I handled Lone Wolf as well. And finally, luck. Roll 1 die, add 6 to this number, and enter this total in the luck box. It's a 1! Cool, we have a luck of 7, and you know what? That makes perfect sense given my other rolls today. So, with this character, we will die a gloriously horrible death. I can't wait. Now, I know some of you are going to point out, we could just mulligan this, and some of you wouldn't even blame me for doing it. But we're going to play this as intended, and with these 1s, I can't think of a better way to do it. So, if we die horribly, we'll roll another character and we'll start over. Skill reflects your swordsmanship and fighting expertise. Oh no. The higher the better. Oh no. Stamina represents your strength. The higher your stamina, the longer you will survive. Oh no. Luck represents how lucky a person you are. Oh no. Luck and magic are facts of life in the fantasy world you are about to explore. Oh god. Skill, stamina, and luck scores change constantly during an adventure, so keep an eraser handy. You must keep an accurate record of these scores, but never rub out your initial scores. Although you may receive additional skill, stamina, and luck points, these totals may never exceed your initial scores, except on very rare occasions. When you are told to fight a creature, you must resolve the battle as described below. First, record the creature's skill and stamina scores as given on the page in an empty monster encounter box. The sequence of combat is then: roll 2 dice for the creature, add its skill score. The total is its attack strength. Okay. Roll the 2 dice for yourself, add your current skill. This total is your attack strength. Whose attack strength is higher? If your attack strength is higher, you have wounded the creature, and if the creature's attack strength is higher, it has wounded you. If both are the same, you have both missed. If you wounded the creature, subtract 2 points from its stamina score. You may use luck here to do additional damage. See using luck in battles below. If the creature wounded you, subtract 2 points from your stamina score. You may use luck to minimize the damage. Make the appropriate changes to either the creature's or your own stamina scores and your luck score if you used luck, and begin the next attack round. This continues until the stamina score of either you or the creature you are fighting has been reduced to 0, which means death. On some pages, you will be given the option of escaping from a battle. You may only escape if it is offered to you on the page. If you do run away, the creature automatically scores 1 wound on you. Subtract 2 stamina points as you flee. Such is the price of cowardice. You can use luck on this wound in the normal way. See using luck in battles below. Luck. Sometimes you will be told to test your luck. As you will discover, using luck is a risky business. The way you test your luck is as follows. Roll 2 dice. If the number rolled is equal to or less than your current luck score, you have been lucky. Well, I suppose it's possible anyway. If the number rolled is higher than your current luck score, you have been unlucky. The consequences of being lucky or unlucky will be found on the page. Each time you test your luck, you must subtract 1 point from your current luck score. So the more you rely on luck, the more risky this becomes. Oh, I see. Using luck in battles. In battles, you always have the option of using your luck either to score a more serious wound on a creature or to minimize the effects of a wound the creature has just scored on you. If you have just wounded the creature, you may test your luck as described above. If you are lucky, subtract an extra 2 points from the creature's stamina score, 4 instead of 2 normally. But if you are unlucky, you must restore 1 point to the creature's stamina. So instead of scoring the normal 2 points of damage, you have now scored only 1. If the creature has wounded you, you can test your luck to try to minimize the wound. If you are lucky, restore 1 point of your stamina. Instead of doing 2 points of damage, for example, it is done only 1. If you are unlucky, subtract 1 extra stamina point. Don't forget to subtract 1 point from your luck score each time you test your luck. Restoring skill, stamina, and luck. Skill. Occasionally a page may give instructions to alter your skill score. A magic weapon may increase your skill, but remember that only 1 weapon can be used at a time. You cannot claim 2 skill bonuses for carrying 2 magic swords. Your skill score can never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed. Drinking the potion of skill, see later, will restore your skill to its initial level at any time. Stamina and provisions. Your stamina score will change a lot during the adventure. As you near your goal, your stamina level may be dangerously low and battles may be particularly risky, so be careful. You start the game with enough provisions for 10 meals. See equipment and provisions, potions below. A separate provisions remaining box is provided on the adventure sheet for recording details of provisions. You may rest and eat only when allowed by the instructions on a page, and you may eat only 1 meal at a time. When you eat a meal, add 4 points to your stamina score and deduct 1 point from your provisions. Remember that you have a long way to go, so use your provisions wisely. So I'm going to make sure that I record now 10 provisions, and I'm going to make a note here in the blank space that I created for myself. 1 provision equals 4 stamina points. I'd like to apologize for any additional noise in this video. My heater has kicked on, it's cold, and we're going to be entering the cold season, so this sort of noise is something I'm going to have to deal with as the videos on any channel that I have progress. Don't forget that your stamina score may never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed on a page. Drinking the potion of strength will restore your stamina to its initial level at any time. Luck. You will find additions to your luck score awarded when you have been particularly lucky. Remember that, as with skill and stamina, your luck score may never exceed its initial value unless specifically instructed on a page. Drinking the potion of fortune will restore your luck to its initial level at any time and increase your initial luck by 1 point. I see. Very good. Very good. So a luck potion plus 1 to max. That's the note that I'll make. I'm not noting that I have a luck potion, just kind of writing down the distinction between that potion and, say, another type of potion. They all seem very useful. Just restore your stuff to max. That's great. Except the provisions. Now, alternative dice. If you do not have a pair of dice handy, dice rolls are printed throughout the book at the bottom of the pages. Flicking rapidly through the book and stopping on a page will give you a random dice roll. If you need to roll only one die, read only the first printed die, and if two, total the 2 dice symbols. Is that real? There are dice at the bottom of every page. That is so cool. So you don't actually need the dice. Whoops. You can just immediately flip to a page. That would have been an extremely great roll to have. 11, 5, or 1 if I just needed 1 dice. 5 or 1 if I just needed 1 dice. 11 looks like I'm going to instinctively flip to the same. 10 or 6 if I just needed 1 dice. That's so cool. I love that. I love that. We now know how to combat, equipment, and potions. You start your adventure with a sword, a leather armor, and a shield, a backpack containing provisions for the trip, and a lantern to light your way. But you will find lots more items as the adventure unfolds. You may also take a magical potion which will aid you on your quest. Each bottle of potion contains enough for 2 measures. In other words, it can only be used twice during an adventure. Each time it is used, make a note on your adventure sheet. Choose one of the following: a potion of skill, a potion of strength, or a potion of fortune. I believe a potion of strength might be the best thing for me. But let's go ahead and write down our initial items. So sword, leather armor, shield, backpack, which is kind of implied by the adventure sheet, I suppose, and a lantern. And I don't know if any of these things will actually have mechanics applied to them, because I'm just writing them down. And we'll put a line under that, because if we die, we're going to use these same items. We're going to begin the game again with these same items. We don't need to write them down again. We'll go ahead and do a potion of strength, just to help me survive a little bit longer as I'm feeling out the dungeon. And I'm going to put 2 circles here next to this. When I use it for the first time, I'm going to fill in one of those circles, and when I use it for the second time, I'll fill in the other one. And I will not use it a third time because I only have 1. Alright, and they just repeat how to use them. Hints on play: there is only one true way through the Warlock's dungeon, and it will probably take you several attempts to find it. Make notes and draw a map as you explore. This map will be useful in future adventures and help you to identify unexplored sections of the dungeon. Not all rooms contain treasure. Many merely contain traps and creatures which you will no doubt fall foul of. Several keys are to be found in dungeon rooms. Only by arriving at the Warlock's treasure with the correct keys will you open his chest and get to his treasure. The one true way involves a minimum of risk, and any player, no matter how weak on initial dice rolls, should be able to get through fairly easily. Oh, that's good for me. That's hopeful. I like that. May the luck of the gods go with you on the adventure ahead. I'm excited. I'm excited. We are ready to read the rumors. Only a foolhardy adventurer would embark upon such a perilous quest without first finding out as much as possible about the mountain and its treasures. Before your arrival at the foot of Firetop Mountain, you spent several days with the townsfolk of a local village some 2 days' journey from the base. Being a likable sort of person, you found it easy to get on with the local peasants. Although they told many stories about the mysterious Warlock sanctuary, you could not feel sure at all, or indeed, you could not feel sure that all, or indeed any of these were based on fact. The villagers had seen many adventurers pass through on their way to the mountain, but very few ever returned. The journey ahead was extremely dangerous. That you knew for certain. Of those who returned to the village, none contemplated going back to Firetop Mountain. There seemed to be some truth in the rumor that the Warlock's treasure was stored in a magnificent chest with 2 locks, and the keys to these locks were guarded by various creatures within the dungeons. The Warlock himself was a sorcerer of great power. Some described him as old, others as young. Some said his power came from an enchanted deck of cards, others from the silky black gloves that he wore. The entrance to the mountain was guarded by a pack of warty-faced goblins, stupid creatures fond of their food and drink. Towards the inner chambers, the creatures become more fearsome. To reach the inner chambers, you would have to cross a river. The ferry service was regular, but the ferryman enjoyed a good barter, so you should save a gold piece for the trip. The locals also encouraged you to keep a good map of your wanderings, for without a map, you would end up hopelessly lost within the mountain. When it finally came to your day of leaving, the whole village turned out to wish you a safe journey. Tears came to the eyes of many of the women, young and old alike. You couldn't help wondering whether they were tears of sorrow shed by the eyes which would never see you alive again. Now turn over. And that, my friends, is the beginning of our adventure to face the Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Please stay tuned for our next part, in which we will actually play the game. This has been spent brushing up on the instructions and creating our character for the first time, and also kind of getting used to a bit of a new setup here on the channel for overhead tabletop activities. So please give me your feedback on any of this, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, have a great rest of your day, and bye for now.